All right, welcome into the Noll Road, Steelers fans. Not the game we anticipated. Packers blow out the Steelers in their own house in Week 8. How do the Steelers get this fixed? Well, defensive coordinator Teryl Austin needs to be fired yesterday, doesn't he? Hit the like button if you agree. Leave a comment down below. And here's a question. What does Mike Tomlin have to do with the rest of the season to make you confident he should be back for a 16th season? Here we go.
To the corner of the end zone. Oh, it's for a touchdown!
Buddy, welcome into the Noll Road. I'm Gavin Dawson along with New Bear Lesniewski. A dark cloud hanging over Pittsburgh as they fall to 4-3. Buddy, I feel like Teryl Austin has to go just so you can see if a different set of eyes and a different play caller can get this thing turned around at all. But I want to talk about Mike Tomlin with you tonight as well. I think this is a critical season, and with all this money spent on the defense, for you to have a bottom 5 defense right now, I don't think a total house cleaning would be inappropriate.
Well, it's inexcusable, not just because of the money, but because of what the offense is doing, in spite of what you're not getting from the other phases of the game. Everyone was so worried about Aaron Rodgers and what he had left in the tank, and he's out there looking vintage. He's out there looking like what guys get every day, every rep, every play, every week, every month away from the Achilles. You know, elite of the elite, which is what he is. He can play as long as he wants to, right? I mean, that's the thing that is really, you know what? And it's not even about a total house cleaning. It's literally Teryl Austin, and then it's not promoting anyone else to DC or interim or whatever. I'm going to just say bullshit title you're going to give him. This is Mike Tomlin's defense. He needs to take the mic. He needs to take the responsibility. It's Mike on the mic for the last time, because if he can't get this defense right, then he can't get this team right in 2026 going forward.
Yeah, I think this is the opportunity you've been waiting for, and I would hope internally inside the Steelers organization, they're going to get a ton of pushback, right? Like even talking about, oh, should the Steelers let go of Mike Tomlin? There's going to be comments and social media, you idiots, they would never do that. Okay, let's just do it for number one, for a thought experiment, and number two, just because there are dozens of people in powerful positions across all pro sports organizations that have great ideas. We need one of them to approach the Roonies and be like, hey, man, can I holler at you real quick? Let me take you out to coffee. Let me swing by your office. I just want to talk about all the different things that are, you know, going less than ideal here. And it might just maybe be, oh, I don't know, our head coach, no playoff wins in 7 years, a stubborn loyalty to underperforming staff, and over-reliance on veteran players, not forcing young players into the game in a young man's league. When's the last time you felt like the Steelers were really prepared for the biggest of games that was meeting them in their schedule or in the playoffs?
When he had Bill Cowher's players to police the locker room and take care of business on the field.
Thank you. Okay, so I feel like you're more with me than maybe you're letting on. I mean, just shoot from the hip. Is he not living off his early resume? Has he ever elevated a quarterback? Like for the last 5 years, you've been able to say, well, hey, look at his defense. It's top 10, even though it really can't stop the run consistently. It's getting the job done. They just don't have a good enough quarterback. Now, hello, you have a good enough quarterback. And I just think sometimes the timing of something is perfect. And with all the expectations and Aaron Rodgers coming in, it's like, oh, man, look at this defense you put together. You got Jalen Ramsey coming in here. That with expectations are the beginning of suffering, New Bear. And when people suffer enough, damn it, they want change. And this might be a golden opportunity.
Well, and that's the thing that really is challenging about this is I've been on the side of patience and understanding for years relative to what Pittsburgh is supposed to be, meaning hardworking, meaning gritty, meaning non-losing seasons and everything that comes with it. Because you can't tell the people of this city, yeah, we're gonna nuke 2025 and we're gonna.
Oh, and I'm not saying fire him now. I'm saying internally, you got to be thinking, if this shit doesn't get figured out, we are getting a new head coach.
Yeah.
Like, the NFL is built around offense, and they're making the rules easier for offense. And if you have a head coach that can't make your quarterback better or put him in a position to succeed, like, that's line one. If you're going to be a defensive guy, you better be God of defense.
Well, see, that's exactly what I'm saying is if they're going to zig when everyone else zags, and that is what he said for years, which is, we're going to play ground and pound. We're going to play punt on third down, field position, time of possession, and not turn the ball over. And you go, oh, why is he so good off buys? Oh, why is he so good on short weeks? Or why is he good non-losing seasons? And these quote unquote historical things where, like, I think the NFL, I caught this betting thing the other day where they were talking about how the NFL in total is like 30 games under 500 off a buy over, it's like 110, 140. Like, if you had bet the team coming off the bye to lose, it's just like if you took the over, right? Or any of these things in basketball with the wide open, with the threes and the points and the 50-point games, right? And I didn't realize that it was that dramatic. And then you go, okay, well, Tomlin's what, like 14-4, or he was, and you brought that up a couple pods ago. And there's all these numbers, there's all these data points that prop him up. The problem is when it comes to nut cutting time, when you're in the game and you consistently ignore data, when you are in graphs as the coach who has taken the most wins over expectation, or the most, percentage of this and percentage of that, when it comes down to how you evaluate winning games, and then you go, okay, well, all right, nerds, I don't care what some nerd says. Look at his record. Look at what that says. And then you go, yeah, but then what happens in the wild card round? You go to Cancun, you're going fishing. And when you go back to 2016 and Tom Brady stealing his soul in the AFC Championship game, and years later you hear his own players going on radio shows saying, well, we weren't going to beat those guys anyway, in years when they didn't even play them, in years when they got beat before they had the opportunity and someone else took down TB12, so the road could have been clear. Like, there have been so many opportunities. Blake fucking Bortles, right? Like, where do you want to take this? The proof point in the pudding, or whatever other cliche that you want to talk about, is that this dude has brought no innovation. He has brought nothing to the table. His big thing about how we're going to be different is we're going to run and punt and play field position when everyone else is spreading the ball around. His big thing is, I'm just going to sign now a bunch of old dudes who can't run anymore and play man and signal over 80% of the time. When we go man free or some version of cover one, it's over 80% of the time, it's this 5-6 man pressure. We're not bringing one more than you can block. We're bringing exactly as many as you can block. And then good luck. Just pick the matchup that you like. Like, what is it about this guy that you still like?
I mean, team building around that is just, it's flawed. And then, it's the other thing about it that I think might be contributing to his decision to stick with this approach is it's very successful in the regular season. You can win in the regular season if you just want to be more careful and play good defense. There's enough bad teams out there, but that is absolutely fool's gold. And, lots of people are talking about this, New Bear. I lost you somehow. What the hell just happened here? I need to share the screen, and I need to go over here, and I need to hit that, and then we're in the right place. Okay, former Steelers executive calling out Mike Tomlin. This is the former executive, Doug Whaley.
Whaley, man. Wednesdays with Whaley.
He brought it. He says teams take characteristics of their head coach, and if you listen to Tomlin, he's a great orator. He's got great one-liners. When you look at this team on paper, you have a Hall of Fame QB, you have 2 Hall of Famers on the defensive line and a possible Hall of Famer in Ramsey. You've got some young talent, but guess what? You don't have substance. Just like Mike Tomlin's press conferences. He says when you start thinking about it that way and you start hearing buy-in, my question is, are those guys in the locker room buying into what the coaching staff is putting out and trying to have them pick up? When things happen like this, especially with expectations so big, and you can't get your guys on the same page, you can't fix problems week in and week out, but you have good talent. The only explanation besides bad coaching is there's a massive narcotics problem in your entire locker room. That's it.
But
everybody's drunk at the game.
One of the drugs and one of the things to get drunk on is TikTok, social media, echo chamber, we're going to be one of the greatest defenses. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The standard is the standard. One component of it, individually and collectively, and things of that nature. Like we're not going to live in our fears.
And I love all that stuff from Tomlin.
He's just a string of those things like that. The problem is in-game situation. Like, where's the adjustment, or where is the surprise? We got you. We did something you weren't expecting us to do. Like when you're, I wrote it down at 11 out of 11. It went all the way to 20 in a row for Jordan Love. 20 in a row.
Go get his ass.
After a week when. And dude, Jamar Chase going 16 for 161 should have been worse. He dropped a tutty. He missed a toe. He bobbled a toe tap. Like the dude should have had 18 catches. And you still didn't take Higgins out of the game. This is going back to what I was talking about. So what did they take away? I guess the collection of ragtag wide receivers. But then those dudes picked on your corners when they wanted to, especially in the run game. And you couldn't cover Tucker Kraft. He was the reincarnation of Rob Gronkowski, Ozzie News. I mean, pick your favorite guy. Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez. Who did he remind you of last night? All of them. And when you go through and you watch these guys bitch, moan, and complain about what? Communications issues. And you see it. I sent you a bunch of stuff today where, folks are looking at scraping cell phone videos and all 22 and camera feeds and reverse angles. And you're seeing Queen and Wilson bitching at each other when they're both mugged up. Like, you can't be double A-gap mug and not know what the fuck you're doing. And then, oh, by the way, you turn around and watch some dude run that all day. I have no problem if you say, this is the sword, this is the hill we're going to climb, this is the sword we're going to wield, this is how we're going to live or we're going to die, and you either get burnt toast or you make plays. But they're not really doing that either, right? Like, they're not really saying, okay, Ramsey's coming off the slot, our outside guys are JPJ and Slay, or we're going to give Pierre a shot because his PFF grade's way better than the old guys and the young guy who can't do anything but grab other dudes' jerseys. My big problem with all this is you go through a game 1 week and you watch an old guy that you've publicly said you're afraid of, and the two wide receivers that you have to take out of the game, and the worst running team in the league runs the ball well enough to freak you the fuck out of what you thought what you claim you were going to do. You go into the next week and you say it's all about stopping the run, and your players parrot it, and your figurehead defensive coordinator parrots it. We're going to stop the run. It's all about stopping the run. Okay, so then do we just give zero thought to everything else? Do we not have the ability to? Yeah, Deshaun Elliott got hurt. What are you doing to anticipate that happen? What are you going to do if TJ goes down? Are you just not going to play Herbig? Is the only way Herbig gets on the field if TJ or Highsmith gets hurt? Like, why are we talking about the same thing week after week? It's this guy playing, this guy not playing. It's this blitz, and it's not working, but we're running it again. It's Stone Age level stuff, and it just doesn't add up to getting the job done with him at the helm.
Deshaun Elliott, good player. He's not that good. He's not, we've only given up 7 points, and now we couldn't stop a JV team out here. That was really disturbing. You mentioned the Herbig thing, less snaps than the Bengals game. As TJ Watt is on pace for 990 defensive snaps.
Yeah,
like, how are these things happening?
He wasn't going to have to play 1,000, and now he's on pace to do exactly that.
But you're right. I mean, the worst thing about last night might have been that they did actually stop the run, and it didn't do a hot damn thing for their secondary, did it?
Well, this is the in-game thing. It would be one thing if that was what you were saying. Okay, we struggle with in-game adjustments. You go, okay, well, this is what we got to go work on. Well, then you go, okay, our game plan in and of itself is flawed. Okay, well, then this is how we're going to go work on that based on who we're playing. And then you go, okay, well, our personnel got old fast, or we have injuries. Okay, well, here's how we're going to go mitigate that at the trade deadline. If you're Omar Khan right now and you're sitting in a room with Mike Tomlin, like, what question do you even start with? Because all of those things and more are problems. And, oh, by the way, we don't know if you're going to play Roman Wilson. You've got Caleb Johnson in the doghouse like you had Roman Wilson, and you got third-round picks, which is somewhere that I really want to take this. You want to talk about, go back 8, 9, 10 drafts. They get so much credit for TJ. They get so much. What do they have? Like 2 Pro Bowl seasons, one from Najee and one from Deontay since the TJ draft. They've had entire drafts be wasted drafts. Like, the entire draft isn't even an NFL player. I'm not talking about dudes that you take, drafting a punter in the 4th round or something ridiculous, or drafting a guy like Chris Oladukin as an athlete quarterback that you think you could maybe turn into, the next Lamar Jackson, over time, or whatever nonsense you spit into, the pundit stratosphere or the post-draft analysis or your roster build. Khan has come in and we thought inserted some new thinking, injected some new, and then you're not playing those guys. Like I can't with the stubbornness. I can't with, well, nothing has to change because we just need to play better. You're not capable of doing that. You've proven that over time, that if your answer is our guys just have to play better and we're not going to do anything for them when they're sitting there at 2.49 seconds and you're just saying our corners have to play better or communicate better, TJ's got to go win faster. Like, what do you want them to do? You're the head coach getting paid $20 million a year. You are supposed to have answers. It is supposed to be hard. You are supposed to be there late. You are supposed to sleep on a cot at this level. And he might be doing all those things. And if he's doing all those things and he still can't get it right, where he doesn't have that cheat code that unlocks any of these guys, then you at the very least have to find out if you put him in the position to somehow emerge from this as a mad genius, mad scientist. Look, he got his swag back. He found the thing that made him great. And maybe it's just going back to 2. Maybe it's just going back to death by 1,000 paper cuts. But at least that would be a change and show everybody, oh, okay, you know what? You said this is what I needed to do because it's the opposite of what I'm doing. How'd that work out?
And speaking of change, man, I think the first thing that needs to happen if I'm Omar Khan, I got to go to Mike Tomlin and say, man, I'm going to need you to fire Austin. I want to find out how nasty his reaction is to that. A lot of head coaches, value the relationships and helping each other along the way and supporting one another and going through adversity and figuring things out. I think Mike Tomlin might be too loyal to Teryl Austin, doesn't want to fire him. But also I have to know if Mike Tomlin with a more hands-on approach could get these guys, running around, flying around, making plays.
I don't, what bothers me about that? Mike Tomlin got the head coaching job off of a bad season. Like his lone season as a DC was not good. And Teryl Austin was terrible before he came to Pittsburgh. And the numbers, early, and when you talk about, young defensive player of the year, TJ, and young Cam, or, still, I guess, athletic prime Cam. And but I mean, you're talking about 4 years ago when they scored, this, that, or the other. They had this, data metric that you want to throw in there for you. Bro, they were in Cincinnati. They were 25, 29, 32, 27. And oh, by the way, in Detroit, he had bad years too. Like, what are you standing on business for this guy for?
You want more evidence of organizational dysfunction? How about 10 men on the field for the wide open 2-point conversion? What the bleep? These are fireable type of offenses. You want Jerry Dulac on the stats, 922 yards the past 2 games, the most it's allowed in the first since the first 2 games of the 1988 season, a historically terrible Steelers defense. But wait, there's more, and he goes into all the inefficiencies there in his piece. You can read him, you know him, you love him, Jerry Dulac. And then, I think you could come over to the offensive side of the ball as well. We go to Nick Farabaugh. Steelers came out of the half with the lead, 16-7 with the ball. Their first 3 drives of the second half, which did go into the fourth quarter, 11 passes, 1 run. Tomlin saying, game flow and all that. We got behind the sticks. Damn it, you got behind the sticks because you were passing the damn ball. That's why you had 3rd and long. The 1 run you did actually got 4 yards. You were on schedule.
Yeah, what's fascinating about this season in particular is we've had all these years of, the quarterback, right? Since Ben's arm snapped and through Duck Hodges and all the things, right? Now we got Aaron Rodgers, and you got this toy that still has, the Lamborghini in the garage still has a lot of Lambo left in it, right? Like he's moving again. He's throwing off platform. Shout out Mina Kimes. He's doing all these really fun things that make you go, oh yeah, that dude's still good enough to get the job done. And what do you spend the first, quarter of the season doing? 6 offensive linemen, Mount Washington, and we're like, yes, get this run game going. Play action over the top. Here come all those tight ends. And then they go into a game like this that they are dominating. They go into a game like they are controlling it. They're in control of it. And all of a sudden, one bad call by the refs on the OPI, another bad call by the refs on the offsides. And now all of a sudden you just completely melt down and you're poking dudes in the eye, getting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. This is what I was talking when I joke about Cowher's players being the thing that kept stuff in the locker room that he inherited wasn't like a who's who of Hall of Famers and dudes. I mean, like there were dudes, and not all of those guys were height, weight, speed, high draft pick, gold jacket, even Ring of Fame, even Pro Bowl. They were just guys who did what they were supposed to do, and they did it to the best of their ability, and that's why they're beloved in this city. And then that turns into Juju's TikTok. That turns into Deontay Johnson running backwards and losing first downs, Mapletron, and everything that happened with Chase Claypool. Like that's just the wide receiver room that we're talking about. The George Pickens experience. Look at him with a real coach, a real quarterback, a real system, and everybody loving him up, getting shipped across town for the pick you would have got if you would have just let him walk after the season. Right? Like now every single element of this gets called into question. And again, you look back over time and go, really, this is a culture king? Really, this is the good vibes guy? Really, this is a locker room that's on lock? Like, what are we talking about?
I wonder about that as well. And I just wonder how different like these experiences would have gone. Now, eventually, I think CTE was going to make Antonio Brown an official crazy person, no matter where he was. But everybody else, I just wonder, because you see them go to other spots and all of a sudden everything is better. There's lots of different ways to do a culture. Like Pete Carroll, Brian Schottenheimer, they specialize in, we're going to let you be your own guy. You got a different personality. You might be a little bit hard to deal with. Well, come us, we'll love up on you. We'll laugh at your jokes. We'll let you be you. And if that's kind of moody or whatever, fine. Just play football well. There's other kind of cultures where it's like, you have to be like us. This is what we stand for, and this is how you have to act if you want to be a good teammate. We can't put up with any of this nonsense. And I think players that might be a little bit different, I don't know if rough around the edges is the right thing to use. I kind of cringe when I hear the word character because we don't really know their character. Let me just say different personality types. And when you get a different personality, if you try to put your hands around them and put them in the box that you want them to be in, what are they going to do? They're going to rebel. And then you see him, go to the Dallas Cowboys and have maybe the best 3-game wide receiver stretch from anybody in the entire league. You see Devin Bush playing at a higher level in Cleveland. So I don't want to be too exactly. What's that?
That is exactly the build on this. Is if George Pickens was so bad, why wasn't he suspended? If he was late, if he was a cancer, if he's eating Twizzlers and talking trash, why wasn't he suspended? If Deontay Johnson was that big Deontay Johnson was such a big problem that other teams just flat out cut him, right? And his career is basically over on the rise. It was on the rise and then over faster than we could snap our fingers in this podcast. And if these guys were so bad, why weren't you the one to put the hammer down? Like, why are we
bringing them in if they're really that bad?
And that's, you go back through the eval stuff and some of these draft decisions, and obviously injuries have a lot to do with it. Ben's arm, Shazier, Bush, who you just brought up with, there's been some really bad stuff that's happened at critical points in guys' careers, both developmentally and when they either were on the rise and ascending and looking like maybe they would pay off, or, in Ben's case, had a lot left in the tank, and especially the way he was built and the way, he loved the game and these guys around him loved him back, going back to the Canada stuff. What he was a good soldier. He did what was asked in the fourth quarter. He'd be like, I can't hear you. And he would just call his own shit and lead, a 2-minute drive and give him a chance. And you think about all those things and you think about how they didn't have a plan for post Ben. Remember, you can say what you want about Belichick and Belichick without Brady, but Belichick drafted Garoppolo to replace Brady when he was done with Brady. You can agree with it. You can think it was genius and what they got for him when they moved him, meaning Garoppolo. But they had a plan, whether you like it or hate it, whether you hated him for doing it. If you were a Patriots fan, he had a plan, a post Brady plan. Like, I think Tomlin just thought Ben was going to play forever and be able to mitigate everything around him, mitigate the locker room bullshit and feed the young receivers, mitigate a defense that got old or a defense that was young and needed to mature or whatever the case would be. And then that gets taken away and you literally go into purgatory.
All righty. Up next here on the Noll Road, we do have news, a little bit of breaking news that hit maybe right as we started this pod.
I mean, is this really news?
Yeah, Steelers are signing Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He was with the 49ers early in the season and couldn't play well enough to stay there. But
Roman Wilson season.
Yeah.
Roman Wilson. We've reached the point. If this is what you're going to do, if you're not going to go, if you're like, this is why we can't take you seriously. If you're going to say we have a problem and this is how we're going to solve it, fuck off.
Yeah, you can't have Nick Herbig. You can't have more Roman Wilson, but here's Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's a tough one. I'm so frustrated by losing these back-to-back games, up 2 scores at half. Suddenly you can't stop anybody, and they never go for it when they should. Like, they are leaking win probabilities all over the field every single damn Sunday by not going for it enough. And now with this defense playing this poorly, you got to consider going for it on 4th and 4 on your own 40 in the first quarter. If you're down a score already, get ready to get down 2 scores.
Don't tell me you trust your defense and then punt every time. Don't tell me you trust your defense and we're going to do what we do and the standard is the standard. And like, come on, man. Like you're watching this stuff where you're trying to do too much because and you know what? We're 26 minutes into this. You know what we haven't talked about? One of the reasons they couldn't hear anything was because the Packers fans had so much more juice that Aaron Rodgers had to go to a fucking silent count at home.
Damn, that sucks. That's wild.
Think about the way that transpired last night, and think
Probably
about
a bucket list trip.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's like the Niners game a few years ago. It's like when Georgia invaded Notre Dame, and I'm just doing that red to red, not because I'm a fan or I'm pissed off by it still. But like you watch this stuff and it's missed tackles like Jordan Love, because I've got it up and I've had it up and I've watched this a couple of times. Where did this Wilson kid come from? You would have thought he was Adrian Peterson. Here's a check down and then banana peel, turtle shell. Like he's just bouncing off dudes like prime LaDainian Tomlinson. And it's missed tackles. It's miscommunication before the snap, even to the point of misalignment. It's fronts and coverages and blitzes not matching coverage, let alone the personnel in and of itself from a starting place. It's missed tackles, lack of effort. Darius Slay, shut your face bitching about getting benched when you're literally, forget making business decisions, you're just not even running. You're on a stationary bike out there getting cardio in.
Like, he was an Eagle too long to be self-aware. Man, the Steelers were bouncing off tackles like the ball carrier was prime LT, and the Steelers themselves are running around like they were post-prime Adrian Peterson. Yes, that is a DWI joke.
Yes.
You see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Second in 7 months. That's sad right there. Hopefully he's doing all right. But, man, I'm frustrated, and I can tell you are as well. It's Monday night, and it still feels like the game just ended. Colts are coming up. They are going to score 40. Speaking of Monday night, I guess we know Teryl Austin isn't going to get fired this week. Somebody in that family has to go into Omar Khan or Mike Tomlin's office and have a very serious conversation about what happens when the Colts score 40, maybe 50.
Well, and this is where the ultimate litmus test is, right? Is Danny Dimes right now, and you want to talk about dudes escaping the clown house that is, Dable and Shane and company and in the New York Football Giants, and what Danny Dimes, looks like in a real offense, with a grown-up making decisions, calling plays, an offensive line, probably the best running back in the NFL going right now. And shout out to him for being able to stay healthy. That's the only thing that's kept him from being a much bigger part of the national conversation. And, he's a guy that I don't want to like because of where he went to college and where he plays his professional ball. But Jonathan Taylor's an absolute monster. And this collection of guys out wide, and then the rookie from Penn State who, they make them different when they hit, the Micah Parsons and the Tyler Warrens of the world. There's a ton of, 6'6", 260-pound guys running around the NFL who went to Penn State who kind of get, left in the effusive wake of other guys. Look at Freiermuth here in our own town. Look at Gesicki bouncing around the league. and Warren looks like he's going to be the one that actually pays off that, wannabe tight end university thing. And I mean, those are weapons. Look at what Tucker Kraft just did. Tyler Warren is a substantially better, athlete, and they use him like Travis Kelce, even at quarterback and doing different fun things on the move. You look at some Pittman and some of these other guys out wide, and everything they do that's built off of Taylor. And then they get up on you, and now they can pin their ears back and dictate terms to Aaron Rodgers and company. And I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm not an Artie Smith guy in the modern NFL, but I can't believe we live in a world where Arthur Smith has more answers, where Arthur Smith, you're more confident in an Arthur Smith tight end led offense where Jonnu Smith is a ghost and is basically in witness protection, despite everyone gaslighting us into believing he was going to actually be the wide receiver too. But Artie Smith still, with all the Mount Washington finally, with the 6th off Spencer Anderson, with this run game looking like it's got actual teeth, with Aaron Rodgers turning back the clock, with just DK Metcalf and now Roman Wilson season. Like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Arthur Smith right now is the only guy in this building that you actually believe is going to show up with a plan to attack and put you in a position to win the damn game.
Without knowing any better, I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers has something to do with that. I'm going to second that opinion. The offensive coaching staff, compared to where they were at the beginning of the season to now, has done a pretty dang good job, and the defense is going backwards. We would love it if you can go forward with us by subscribing here on the Noll Road. We go long form 4 times a week, at least, talking about the Steelers. We'll buy you a beer if you sub. If you've already done it, please like the video. For New Bear, I'm Dawson. We'll see you next time on the Noll Road.